Ghost stories have been around since the beginning of storytelling, and I can't imagine our society without them. Ranging from silly sleepover urban legends to haunted location tourism and everything in between, history tales we are doomed to repeat. You either love or you hate the legends. Personally, I'm a big fan. Question for you, what's your favorite ghosty story? Let me know in the comments and let's go back in time together. I'm starting today with possibly the most famous ghosty girlie of all time, the White Lady of the Tower of London. Now this White Lady is a well-known ghost, and she is believed to haunt the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula. According to ancient legend, the White Lady was once a woman who was wrongly accused of a crime and executed within the tower. There are several tales that claim the origins of her though, including one about a young woman falsely accused of stealing from the Queen's apartments, who was despite her innocence. Another story suggests that the White Lady could be the ghost of Anne Boleyn, who was executed in the Tower in 1536 and was known for wearing white. The White Lady is often described as a serene and beautiful woman with long hair, wandering in a long gown. Many people claim to have seen her kneeling at the chapel altar, and some have reported feeling a sense of calmness or comfort in her presence. She is said to have once stood at a window, waving to people at the building on the other side just to freak them out. She's also known to linger in your peripheral vision, leading you to think somebody's in the room with you until you turn and see nobody. Her presence is typically announced by an overwhelming smell of perfume, so strong that it's actually made several tower visitors sick. A few visitors report being tapped on the shoulder, only to turn around and see nothing but a wisp of white. Despite the lack of historical evidence supporting the existence of the White Lady, her legend is still extremely popular. Even today, visitors and tourists to the Tower of London report sightings of her ghostly figure just wandering around the halls, hanging out. It's just wild to me that it's been how many years and we still don't know for sure who she is, and nobody has been able to help her move on from this mortal plane and into the next one. She's on my personal bucket list of ghosts I want to meet in person someday. Seriously. Time to take to the seas with our next legend, which also happens to be up there in terms of popularity. The ghost of the Flying Dutchman has been haunting sailors for centuries. This legendary cursed ghost ship is said to be doomed to sail the seas forever without ever reaching port. And the story dates back to the 17th century and has been retold in many forms over the years, with each retelling adding to its haunting allure. According to maritime folklore, the Dutch captain of the Flying Dutchman, try saying that 5 times fast, was cursed for his arrogance and blasphemy. Now the ghost ship appears as a spectral apparition to other sailors, accompanied by eerie lights and strange sounds. The crew of the Flying Dutchman is said to be made up of ghosts and other supernatural beings, condemned to sail the seas until the end of time. Now I'm not new to ghost ship stories. I've talked about the Mary Celeste, the Patriot, the Hunley, and more over the last year, but the idea of a ship that just vanishes is terrifying to me. The legend of the Flying Dutchman has also been the inspiration for a lot of works of art, lots of literature, music, film. There's a whole Wikipedia article about the inspirations and adaptations of this legend that includes melodramas, appearances on SpongeBob, Spider-Man cartoons, Disney comic books, a 1951 film, even the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Heck, even the Efteling amusement park in the Netherlands has a roller coaster called De Vliegende Hollander, or the Flying Dutchman, which features a captain named Willem van der Decken. It has definitely made its mark on society, and once again, we still don't have concrete knowledge about the ship or its occupants. One of these days, somebody's going to be exploring the ocean and stumble upon the perfect shipwreck that's going to make total sense. Look, somebody needs to tell their descendants to come back to this video in 50 years or something and tell me if I'm right or wrong. Please? Well, there is technically no historical evidence to support the existence of said ship. The legend has endured for centuries and has become an important part of maritime folklore. It's a haunting reminder that the sea is a place of great mystery and wonder, but it's also capable of spawning great horror. Seriously, there's so much about the oceans that we still don't know and might never understand. Which reminds me of the age-old question, which do you fear more, the ocean or space? Since I'm more likely to wind up in an ocean, that's my answer, but you let me know yours in the comments. Alrighty, who's heard of Odysseus before? If not, it is Cliff's Notes time, everybody. Time to throw it back to the Greek and Roman history elective I regretted taking during my first year of university. It was hard, first thing in the morning, and overall just kinda dry. But I made a really good friend out of the struggle of keeping each other awake, so there's that. In Greek and Roman mythology, Odysseus, also known by the Latin variant Ulysses, is a legendary king of Ithaca and the hero of Homer's epic poem, The Odyssey. We all know it. Odysseus plays a key role in Homer's Iliad as well, and other works in that same epic cycle. The works of Homer provide some of the earliest examples of ghost stories, ergo fitting the ancient theme of today. I almost dressed up retro, but at the same time I didn't want to wear a corset today. Well, in the underworld where Odysseus had encountered his companion Elpenor, he also came across the spirit of his mother, Anticlea. Unaware she had passed while he had been on campaign, Odysseus tried to embrace her, but was unable to, which, oof, that is rough. In Homer's description of the dead, it appears that spirits could hear the the living and receive their offerings. However, they were only able to actually interact with the living after drinking human redness, which Odysseus provided. How generous. His mission upon entering the underworld had been to consult the ghost of the seer, Tiresias. While there, Odysseus also encounters spirits of brides, unmarried men, virginal girls, men killed in battle who still wear their red-soaked armor, etc., etc. Pardonnez-moi, this is starting to sound like it influenced early vampire lore. Only gaining abilities after consuming the life essence of humans? I'm down to give that a try. I feel like I spill enough of my own life source whenever I perform certain sideshow acts that I could probably bottle up enough, go to a cemetery, ingest it, and see what happens. Yes, I'm a bit of a weirdo if that wasn't obvious enough, and part vampire. Long story. But seriously, the variety of spirits just hanging out is wild. I'd like to give that a try someday. It'd be fun. To continue on with this trend of ancient waybackness, how about next up we visit an Athens haunted house? In a theme park setting, I'm trying to figure out what that would look like. Probably lots of statues, a really wonky family, somebody droning on and on and on about their beliefs, but let me know in the comments what you think you could add to it. Roman lawyer and busy letter writer Pliny the Younger told a story of a chain-rattling ghost in Athens in perhaps the most famous haunted house of the ancient world. Pliny related the spooky yarn in a letter to his friend Licinius Sura. In the letter, Pliny said that the large house was haunted by the sound of clanking chains at night. People inside could hear the chains getting louder and louder as I'm moving closer to them. Now I can see where the Ebenezer Scrooge ghosts got their inspiration, and so forth and so on, because ghosts holding chains is a very well-known trope nowadays. The spirit making the demonic noise turned out to be a disheveled old man with a long scraggly beard and hair. The phantom pensioner eventually forced one set of owners to sell up until a philosopher named Athenodorus bought the house at a very low price. In today's economy, I know I would happily buy a house with a ghostie if I could afford the price. Like, that isn't even a downside. I'm sure we could be friends. So Athenodorus, hearing about the resident ghost, decided to sit and wait for it one night. He moved his bed into the main area of the house, near the front door, and sent his servants home. He's like, we're gonna do this on my own, let's see what happens. While reading in the middle of the night, Athenodorus started to hear the dreaded ghost. The sound of the chains grew louder and louder. When he turned around, he saw the specter of the chain-rattling man. Now, he was amazed to see the spirit beckon him outside into the courtyard. The curious philosopher followed him out and saw the apparition vanish. The next day, he had the spot where the ghost disappeared dug up. The skeleton of a man, bound in chains and with signs of violent death, was found beneath the surface. The remains were given a proper funeral and the haunting ceased forever. Well, there you have it, folks. If you help a spirit pass on, or if you leave their place of burial in peace without disturbing them, unless they ask you to do so, you're good. Don't mess with Ouija boards, don't tempt fate, you can exist in peace. Simple stuff. And finally today we have the ghost of Nero. He was part of the first imperial dynasty of Rome, consisting of the first 5 emperors. Other famous names include Caligula, Tiberius, you know the rest. While Augustus is praised for being an accomplished ruler, folks like Caligula and Nero were infamous for their cruelty and excesses. I still can't believe that to this day people are still named after Nero. Like, why would you want to give your offspring such a cursed name? My name has been sadly bastardized by Amazon in my lifetime, so whenever I personally learn that somebody born after the boom of Amazon Alexa was given the name, I severely judge the parents. Like, why the bleep would you want to set up your spawn for a lifetime of ridicule? Like, it's beyond me. Don't get me wrong, I love my name, but not the Amazon jokes that come with it. Sorry, I know. Back on topic I go. Among the many dynasties that ruled over this sprawling empire, the Julio-Claudian dynasty stands out as one of the most unsettling for sure. This dynasty, which spanned from 27 BC to 68 AD, was a roller coaster ride of power, intrigue, and brutality. The Romans were keen to believe that their most oppressive rulers would continue to terrorize them after their deaths. Pliny the Younger, you all remember him, recorded a story of how Nero's biographer, Gaius Fannius, was interrupted in his work by his own subject. So one dark, eerie night, Fannius was busy penning the next installment of his life of Nero, when Nero himself sat down and started reading aloud from the previous chapters. Then Nero vanished, scaring Fannius half to death. The author knew that, oh boy, this is a sign, it's the end of my life, and he was right. Fannius died soon after, before he could even finish the biography. And that brings me to the end of our time, and maybe I'll go take a walk through a graveyard for funsies tonight. Why not? I've been Alexa, your resident ooky spooky girly, and if you enjoyed my ramblings today, could you help us out by giving this video a like, subscribing if you aren't already, hit the bell for more ghosty content from us here at Top 5 Scary Videos, and I'll see y'all next time, you lovely spooky people.